There you go, buddy. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Oh, no
Gino Reinhart.
Thank you, Homer. Thank you, Homero. It's funny. My brother-in-law, his name is Homero as well.
Is he really?
But he goes by Homer. Yeah.
Is that right?
That's right.
I remember growing up with Homer.
Yeah.
Quite a bit. Not really being called Homer, but just hearing it again and again.
Yeah.
But I never met another person named Homero.
Homero. Yep. He goes by Homer or Junior. And I don't know if that's family because it's Junior.
Uh-huh.
He's a twin. But yeah, his name is Homero as well.
Okay. Well, cool, dude. I mean, basically, that was the intro. Do you want me to say like what you do? Like you're a creative director?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, now, so what does that mean? A creative director? Because I hear it so many times in so many different kinds of contexts.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, what would you identify as that?
I would identify it as kind of that lead creative voice.
Okay.
That provides the overall direction for whatever the project is.
Mm-hmm.
And typically, it's one of those things where this person ultimately has final say.
Okay, so they're like the lead.
Process. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
Because in most cases, you got to think that that person is relying on other people as part of the vision as well, and each one of those people are going to bring their own interpretation into it.
Okay.
And then they're basically steering the ship of those people
mm-hmm.
beneath them to kind of ultimately facilitate a final piece that that matches close to or resembles what they had pitched or the ultimate idea that you're trying to achieve.
I gotcha. Okay. So did you always want to be a creative director? Was that like your goal?
I wouldn't necessarily say creative director was my goal, but it's one of those other steps along the way.
Okay.
It is kind of a validation, or it's nice. What's the word I'm looking for?
It's a good title.
It's a good title, yeah.
You go.
But it's one of those. You put in years and years of work, and it's kind of like to ultimately become that top of the totem pole.
Gotcha.
And it's recognition, it's validation of the time and the effort that you've put in through the years.
Oh, sure, absolutely. Okay.
But that's my understanding of a creative director. I mean, they're ultimately going to oversee a lot of the bigger picture pieces. Mm-hmm. And, like I said, when you work in a large environment, like you're going to have teams and teams underneath the creative director that ultimately carrying out that vision.
Sure.
So.
Okay. I mean, is that an ideal for you? Teamwork? Yeah. Did you always, because it sounds like you basically delegate.
Once you get to that role, yeah. But I mean, there are certain people that, that don't ultimately delegate.
Oh, is that right?
So, I mean, depending on the situation of your company that you're in. I've got friends that are creative directors, but yet they're totally hands-on. They're freelance. They're brought in specifically for their type of vision. They're hired specifically for the vision and their typical creative executions, and they're brought in to execute those.
So it's a more vision specific type of thing.
It can be. It kind of ties into what you're doing. If you're a freelance creative director, you're going to be brought in on projects that suit your kind of style, just like directors.
Sure. Okay, that's really interesting.
But if you're a creative director at an ad agency, you've got to kind of, again, they're going to probably pitch clients. You will pitch clients that kind of fit your wheelhouse.
Okay.
But at the same time, you're open to a wide gamut of potential.
Okay.
It all kind of depends on what you're doing or how you want to see yourself as a creative director.
I see.
Do you want to work for a company, or do you want to work for you have an agent that that turn around and
helps you get work. Is that right?
Oh yeah.
I didn't know you could do that like in a.
Oh. Totally.
I know like actors do that kind of thing, but I didn't realize even like freelance.
Oh yeah.
People can have agents that basically do the hunting for them.
I've got many of good friends from New York that's if they're not running their own companies, their own design agencies, or even creative agencies, because some of them have moved beyond just your standard what one considers design, and some guys are doing full on. I have a friend who has a company called Hush, and they do full on interactive experiences. And things.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Like, you mean with interacting, like phone?
Phone. I'm talking full on environmental interactions.
Wow.
They had. They're based out of Brooklyn, but they're. One of the things that they did was help do the new loop, the new kind of on in Brooklyn. I believe it was Brooklyn.
Okay.
But then they've also done like environmental experiential pieces for Under Armour, Nike.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Damn, man. Okay.
So
That's really interesting stuff. Again, I didn't realize that from a freelance, like I didn't see that potential from that end.
Yeah,
I usually thought that they were just a part of like more company.
No, and I've got a
based.
friend again from this one company that I work for in New York called Heavy. There's just probably one of the few times, like it's just an amazing group of creatives together, and just everyone from there has either gone on to either own their own company or start up their own company, or are freelancers that that do stuff for Nike, Adidas.
Yeah.
And one of those guys, he's a freelance creative director that he gets brought in to do commercials and videos and things like that, and
That's insane,
for
man.
Adidas and Nike, and
That's wild stuff. So do they take into consideration budget, production? Because it sounds like they're from the get-go, pre-production all the way till delivery, or is it more of just like a pre-production thing than let the other guys run with it?
No, in his case, I believe he is part of pre-production and the whole shoot,
Just
and
everything.
Everything.
Wow, interesting stuff. That's pretty flexible.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're basically just getting hired to be, hey, this is what I think.
Totally. But the thing is, it's and it comes back to that, because I think about some of the stuff that we did at that agency, and you were hired for the specific look that you brought to the table, and like you were hired because you had a look that is exactly what they wanted, so you didn't have to deviate from what you normally do.
Sure, that's interesting stuff. But my thing is like, okay, so let's say, you develop whether it's a new IP or just the message to get that IP across, and let's say it doesn't do well. Like, is the creative director the guy that you blame? Or is it the other people around them? Do they even analyze? Because every time I've seen like movies do well, or just even a brand campaign do well, you don't hear who did it. But then on the other hand, sometimes when it doesn't do well, you kind of they kind of point the finger at someone, because like with Kylie Jenner thing with the whole Pepsi last year,
or even Peloton this year.
Oh, sure.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine that you'd hear of people that, or maybe it's just companies that the ad agency or whatever kind of gets the blame for that kind of stuff. Ooh, that's pressure.
Well, nowadays though, it probably falls more in the people at the company are pointing the fingers at the ad agency.
I think
because
that, or
because the customers are pointed at the product and the company itself.
Gotcha.
I mean, case in point, Peloton. Nobody went to the people who shot the Peloton, who came up with the idea for the Peloton commercial, unless it was an in-house thing. They were like, Peloton totally missed the mark. And
yeah, that's another thing to consider too, because more and more places are just doing everything in-house.
Yeah,
man, they're just gonna solidify everything. Like, do you think Amazon does that, or do you think they outsource? Because they're just taking over everything. You see them in streaming, you see them in market, like selling you stuff now with, I think, audiobooks and stuff like that. You think they do most of their stuff in-house?
It's a good question.
I would wager,
I would think that majority of it is in-house. Although I think when they do something on a nationwide level, they probably outsource that.
Is that right?
I would venture to guess that they do. Only because when you do that, you kind of have to take on a different approach because you don't necessarily, you think you know who your target audience is. A lot of times you go in thinking you know who it is, and it's totally different.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it seems like with marketing now. You know, it's just like, we don't fucking know.
Right.
It's the Wild West, man.
Right.
The internet's made it just a crazy fucking place to even try to.
Because now it's
try
like
to sell stuff.
And the thing is now it's like it's like you almost have to tailor every individual message because everybody can view it that way. Like they can view it in the way that they want to, versus, before it was just you just had TV.
Oh, you mean platform?
Or you had the platform itself. Like everybody has their own way, and you think about it this way: everybody has their own way of consuming information these days, or gaining access to information, or even gaining access to entertainment.
Sure.
Right?
In their own little bubbles. Yeah, man.
And now, if you don't tailor a message to that particular person, it's like they're not saying this to me.
Right.
Right?
I would think so. Man, it gets dangerous though, because.
And then, but to your point, it does get dangerous because it's almost like, who in the hell is spying on me that knows all this, right?
Well, how do you feel about that? Because I keep on seeing ads. Like I was talking about this thing I wanted to buy for the show.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm looking for this thing that I can have 2 more cameras and then just edit on the fly as we record.
Yeah.
I think that'd be fucking perfect. But then I keep seeing ads for those kind of products.
Right.
It doesn't bother me, no. I mean, I really don't mind it. If you already want the item,
exactly,
right? Is it really that bothersome to have suggestions? I don't know.
Just keep it top of mind. They keep it in your face to make you forget. Oh, don't forget about this because you remember you wanted it like a month ago.
Yeah.
Or you wanted it 2 weeks ago.
Or a couple hours ago.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Oh well, shit.
It doesn't bother me because it's just it's the way it's one of those things. It's the way the world is now. So it doesn't get to me. It's just one of those weird things that every once in a while I'll be scrolling through Facebook just because of work. Really, it's like I don't even post on Facebook anymore. Really,
I don't think I ever see you post.
I don't put pictures up. I don't really do anything. Like I use it to stay in touch with family every once in a while.
Isn't that weird? That's how it's. Well, I want to say that's how I remember it starting. Is for maybe it was in high school, like seeing your friends online, but then it became like a family thing. Because I remember people saying, "Well, I can't post on Facebook because my family sees what I post."
Right.
So they're trying to. Like now avoid
right,
or post it on their Instagram or something.
Or they go to Snapchat or something so it disappears.
Yeah, but now I'm seeing it as a place to push content,
right?
Or how some people see it, like push political ideology.
Totally right. That seems to be it's bread and butter now.
You think so?
It's you know what, I saw an article the other day about this guy who he's basically created his own Facebook, like ways of creating your own social networking sites that are like microsites.
Like topic specific?
No, like he's limited to, like you have to be invited to, it's basically taking his friends list of whatever he's got on Facebook and dwindling down to like the 50 most important people there and the 50 people that he really wants to keep in touch with, and like you have access to that.
So it's like a group chat type
It's like
thing?
a group chat kind of thing, but it's built similar in the sense, or at least the way the article made it sound is like it's built similar to, in the sense of Facebook. But it's a micro site. It's just a micro social networking site, but it's limited to his friends, like the friends that he really wants to stay in touch with.
Yeah. That's interesting, man.
And it's funny because they were saying that, look at that as a trending means in the coming years of these micro social sites popping up that are totally self-contained. And it is, it's those small groups of friends that really ultimately want to keep in touch with one another.
Well, then how do you meet new people, man? How do you add, I guess, more people into that? Because I'm with this especially.
Yeah.
And, trying to just be more outgoing. I find that I just feel better when I talk to new people. It's like, oh, shit.
Right.
Oh, I did that today. That's cool. I met someone new or new people. But I mean, if you're just isolating yourself, that's weird. That's a bit strange. Huh. Do you just talk to them on the website or post
I
or
guess so. I mean,
like
I don't know. I
Huh.
didn't really dive into the article. I just happened because, I was at work and this thing is like one of the trends for 2020 are these new kind of micro social networking sites, social sites. And I'm just like, okay, well, everybody's using social as a means of advertising.
Jeez Louise.
Right?
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what the evolution of that would be. Have you seen what Musk has got cooking for this year?
Oh, no.
Dude, it's a brain implant. All right. Have you heard about it?
No.
Dude, it's nuts because basically he's trying to make it so it's so accessible to everyone that it would be stupid not to do it. So the idea is like a $40 procedure, as easy as getting a haircut. You go in to this place and then you say, I want this implant, right? And the implant's goal is basically to take off all of your physical, like the keyboard, the touchscreen.
Okay.
Remove that from the equation and just make it so your mind is completely in control with your interface with Facebook or YouTube.
No.
Yeah, that's the idea. And so he has all these, like, I want to say a few hundred or 1,000 itty bitty small, not even half the size of a hair needles going into your brain. Very flexible. And they just read electronic pulses. And they have it in a way where a machine does the process for you, and it's painless. No, it's like little to no numbing or anything like that. And again, like $40, super accessible, and making it so if you want to send an email, well, you just think it, and bam, it's done. Or like if you want to like something on Facebook, you think it, and bam, it's done. I can see that being an evolution because I mean,
that's scary. That's just scary. Yeah.
Why is that? Yeah.
Because, I mean, you can't, there are times, just think about, if you were to, you can't control your thoughts sometimes. Let's just say that much. You can't control your thoughts sometimes.
I can completely agree. Like, I don't know what's the barrier of being like, saying something a little dirty.
Exactly.
And it being posted on Facebook. Right. Fuck.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, how would you even be able to?
It's like, damn, she has big boobs. And
right.
You just, it just pops in there and it's like, oh, that's on Facebook now.
Shit.
Right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're able to do that, technically, would you be able to call someone through?
Right.
And then.
Right.
Would that be telepathy?
In the technical sense, yeah, you'd think.
Dude, that's pretty fucking dope. I'm all about it. I'd do it, Gino. I'd get the implant.
No.
First in line.
No. I don't know if that.
Nah, man. I don't even know what that would mean. But anyway, that's one of his big goals this year is to make it so there's human trials.
Why doesn't he just finish this tunnel thing that he's supposed to,
Dude,
get that done.
He's got the tunnel. He's got SpaceX. He's got Tesla doing whatever with the
truck.
It looks weird.
It does.
But what's strange is you would think that he would want some consistency between his automobiles, all of them, and all of them, but the truck do look like they're from the same company. But then you have the truck.
The truck. I don't lie. I'd love to have the SUV. I think it's fucking cool the way that the doors open up and
it's
rise
dope.
Up.
Yeah.
The truck though, the fact that the tailgate, at least in the demo that they were showing on, the tailgate slides out, you got a gas grill and all that kind of stuff on it. Have you seen that?
I did not even know that.
Oh, yeah. So there's a package, apparently, of this thing, like the deluxe package, that the tail slides out.
I have seen that.
And there's a grill and all this kind of stuff that's attached to it.
See that shit. That's wild. I mean, he's doing it right, dude, regardless of how it looks.
Right.
I like the way, he thinks about. It's almost like not really so much luxury, but it's more of just usability. Like he's not afraid to be like, let's rip all this shit. Just fucking forget it. And only goes with what's being used.
Right.
Yeah.
It's got to be a little embarrassing, though, when you say, oh, let's check out the shatterproof windows.
And hey, man, you can't win them all. I I loved it. I thought it was a part of I thought it was a gag at first. I was like, well, I guess that's a part because
That's a prototype error.
Yeah, but then they did a video that showed that it was like the windshield or whatever, where it wouldn't get pierced. I don't know. It would have been really funny.
You know, it would have been
Meme-worthy.
cool though if it had been trials of like, oh, let's go out and hit a deer and have the deer come through the window and see if it comes through.
Oh shit!
Right?
Yeah.
Let's just make it really real.
What's funny is you mentioned that he did like a PewDiePie video, him and Justin Roiland, and they were looking at memes, right? Memes.
Yeah.
And one of them was of a deer in a pool, just like dead or just laying there, and Elon Musk could not stop laughing. He found it to be the funniest thing in the world. He's like, "Is that real?" Oh man.
That'd be a real life trial though. If it's something that's gonna pierce through it, hit a deer and see what happens.
I mean, hopefully.
At least in our area, because I was driving down the road the other day, late at night. Had to make a late night run to Kroger. Not even half a mile from my house. I'm pulling up, coming around the curve, and there's at least a 10-pointer marching across the road.
Holy shit.
So yeah, that's 170, 180 pound deer probably. Hit that thing doing 45, 50.
Yeah. I mean, I remember my mom hit a deer, and it was crazy because it was running, and it was both my mom and another car.
Oh.
We were in a van, so like it was running this way, and both
cars got it.
Dude, no chance. Bah! And my mom just kept driving. She's like, I'm dropping you off at school. You're dealing with it. And I was like, okay. That van was fucked up, dude.
It makes me think of, because I just watched it the other day off of Stars, is Battle Los Angeles.
Oh, man. That's with like...
with
Nick.
No. With... who's Two-Face? Two-Face from Batman.
Aaron
Eckhart.
Yeah.
Aaron Eckhart's in it.
That's right. He's a soldier.
He's the lieutenant. Yeah. So there's one scene where they're getting ready to. They get in some armored vehicle and they're heading out. They're trying to make it to this last rendezvous point to get not the hostages but the civilians out. And they have to go through this tunnel system in LA or under the bridges and everything.
Okay.
And he's like, if you're about to hit a deer, what do you need to do? And of course the guy goes, speed up. So he's like, speed the fuck up. Let's go. So yeah. So of course they start plowing through people.
Is that
they start
proper advice? Should you speed up if you see a deer?
Yeah, you might as well.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't think braking or swerving?
You're putting yourself in danger then.
I guess you're right. I don't know. I remember seeing a Mythbusters where they just had the car going and that thing just went through the windshield.
Right. Well, that's the thing. I mean, depending on how you hit it, that could be. That's where it gets scary. But
maybe it was a moose they hit.
Here's the thing, though. If you're driving at it right, and I guess if it's just you though, like no one else on the road kind of thing.
Okay.
Ultimately, it's got to make a choice whether it's going to go backwards or go forwards.
You mean the deer?
The deer, yeah. Because if you hit brakes though, if you slam on brakes, there's depending you're locking up to try and stop, but ultimately you're still going to end up more than likely hit it.
Yes.
So if you try to swerve, you're putting yourself at even greater danger than just accelerating through and.
Okay, I can see. You sold me, man. I'll hit that deer.
So
I'll harvest them.
More than likely, it's gonna run. More than likely, it's gonna dart off, and at least if nothing else, you'll clip it. But
yeah, I remember seeing deer with these trails back here.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen some just walking, man, and I mean, it's just crazy. I didn't expect to see him around here with so much traffic and like the malls just right around. They're not shy.
Oh no, not at all.
Do you have them a lot at your place?
I say at least once a month probably. There's a dead deer you see a dead deer on the road.
Mm.
Actually, Thanksgiving, we let our dogs out in the morning, and they were up barking, and there were two in our neighbor's backyard on the other side of our fence.
Oh wow!
So yeah, I mean, I've actually seen a deer come through the neighborhood, bound over our neighbor's fence because it's a very short fence. Bound over that into the trees. behind us, behind our property.
Something's got to be done about these deer, Gino.
No, the coyotes. That's what.
I have never seen one.
Oh,
man.
I saw one on the way to work the other day.
Oh my
At
god.
on the coming up from PIB
Uh-huh.
through the Buford Cemetery area.
Okay.
I was like, what in the hell is that dog doing? I was like, that dog's got mange, totally. And as I got
It
closer,
looked wild.
yeah, I mean, it looked. And as I got closer, I'm like, that is not a dog. That is a coyote.
That's a coyote. Holy shit. I've never seen one. You know what? I've seen more dead bodies here than I've seen of coyotes. For real,
That's
dude.
scary.
It's weird. I remember I was living with my friend Zuba a couple years back, heading to work, and I see, like there's cops around that gas station behind, right? So like,
Yeah.
let's say there's the building, and then you go right all the way until you hit the gas station.
Yeah.
There was a dead guy there, and I was like, oh shit. They were putting up the thing around it, and found out later that it was just like some drug deal gone wrong.
Oh yeah.
Or something like that. But then there was another one. Remember?
Oh, the one right in, yeah.
Crime of Passion, man.
That one. I was actually driving to work the day that they had one at the Shell up there on the corner of PIB and Buford,
Okay.
and they had the shield up protecting. Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy, dude. Happens all the time. I remember working a wedding, and where I used to live,
Yeah.
in Sandy Springs. I thought it was a safe area. I mean, it's in the city,
Yeah.
but like it's nice. The apartments were gated and the mall's close by. And I remember talking to this cop. I was like, I don't know. I've always been interested in like cops and detectives and stuff. Like
Yeah.
I'm really always curious. Like, what can they really do? Do they even like their job? Because it feels like a lot of these guys are just doing it just either to have a job. But he was really into it. He's like, oh yeah, man. And then he's like, you won't believe the stuff I've seen. I'm like, is that right? From where? Like in weird places? He's like, no, dude, everywhere. And then
Like just down the road.
yeah. And I was like, dude, this is Sandy Springs. It's not that bad. He's like, oh, you don't want to know. So that freaked me out. I mean, I don't even want to know half the stuff that these guys see. It's crazy.
It takes me back. That story there makes me think of when I lived in Brooklyn, and
Oh my God.
I lived in Carroll Gardens for 7 years at either end of the F train stop there at Carroll Street. And before I moved in, once I moved to this one place, I really became really good friends with this older lady who was almost like a grandma to me, kind of figure that was just there. And I started talking to her every day, and or every time I'd walk by, she'd ask me how I was doing and everything when she was out on her stoop. And she told me a story back in the day, I guess like late 80s, early 90s, like that neighborhood was just like you'd get a phone call from your friend saying, don't go down to the corner of Smith and Carroll because, there's a dead body there on the corner.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's intense.
But I guess as it got better, it's heavy mafia influence in that area.
Oh my God.
They put that was one of the areas where they kind of put up their family for the most part.
This game.
Yeah, where I was, and I mean, as I was told by my roommate, and I'm not gonna say it's confirmed, but Gotti lived in that area because the pizzeria that was right below our building had a picture of him and the owner together.
God, just chilling.
And it's actually that I live like 2 blocks down from the scene where De Niro and what's her name in Goodfellas, where he says, "Go down, go down." Go down. So she's going to get the dress. He's like, "Do you want a dress?" And he's like trying to send her down to
that. Yeah. Well, that's
scene?
that's the insinuation.
That's the insinuation. Yeah.
I can't remember if that's what he was doing, but it seemed like she was scared.
She was scared.
Yeah. You've been there.
I like that right there. I've walked underneath that bridge.
Oh my God.
And that was literally like 2-3 blocks from where the first place I lived in Brooklyn. Yeah.
That's insane, man. I don't need. Yeah, I've always lived in small towns. Living in Sandy Springs was probably that in Decatur.
Yeah.
Was the closest I've ever been to living in a city. And yeah, some strange cats
Dude,
out there,
it's
dude. Especially
New
at like
York-
3
New
o'clock in the
York-
morning.
right? New York. Oh, New York City. That's you want to talk about stories? Like
Yeah.
that cop. I'm just telling you. I've got stories that just. From
What's
New
the
York.
wildest?
Okay, so probably the one of the wildest was we were closing up at the restaurant that we worked at.
Okay.
This couple that was in there that was obviously inebriated, just decided to start having sex right there on the street.
Holy
Like
shit.
he's sitting down, like he's almost passed out. He's sitting down, leaned up against this, this storefront kind of thing, and she's just sitting there riding him. The chefs, the sous chefs, and the busboys are coming out. Literally, I'm not kidding you, dude. They just pull out their phones and start taking pictures and recording video.
Oh
The
my
couple
God.
just didn't care.
They were just,
Yeah,
we're fucking.
We're doing
drunk.
it right there.
Oh my God. That's pretty wild.
I've seen a person on the subway literally throw up in their hand. The door opens. He throws it out and then goes right back to grabbing hold of the bar.
Oh my God. Ooh, that's gnarly.
I've come this close to stepping in. I came this close to stepping in shit
Oh my God.
on the subway car, where literally someone probably just grabbed hold of the bars and right there on the floor.
In the car?
In the car.
Dude. Like,
And of
what
course-
kind of
and of course-
mindset
and
do
of
you have
course
to be in?
You walk right in. Not it was evening, getting ready to be rush hour. Like I just gotten off work and I step in the car and I'm like, what the hell is that smell? And I look down. I'm like, oh shit, it's shit.
God.
And everyone who was in the car was already just holding their breath and just dispersed from that area. And what was really shitty was at the next stop, it was going to open on that side. So if you did not pay attention, which
You're going to
of
trip.
course the person that was coming in was you're going right into it. Yeah.
Oh, that dude! I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like that. But I remember when I was in New Orleans a little bit ago, 4th of July, not last year, but the year before.
Mm-hmm.
Just walking around, the first time I've ever been in that city, and I was like, "This is crazy," because everything's so bunched together. At least where I was, the French Quarter and all that.
French Quarter, yeah.
And I was right inside, like the hotel I was at is basically walking distance from everything, so I didn't have to drive.
Nice.
It was dope. But my first morning there, dude, walked up. I was getting so hungry. I was ready for breakfast at this new place or whatever. And then as I'm walking there, there's a guy just taking a shit. And he gets up, looks at me. I'm like,
Kind of like Ezel in Friday.
yeah, dude. It was crazy. And he just, I guess, was finishing up. It was weird. I was afraid that he was just going to start chasing me, man. I mean, in that case, either stand your ground or you run away. But he's got shit.
Right.
I mean, it's not good.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, you can get it like disease and shit. Oh, did you hear like Justin Bieber got Lyme disease?
Lyme disease. Yeah.
What the hell?
I saw that.
That's crazy. I mean, I wonder where because it's tick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Totally.
that's like the only way to get it.
Yeah. I'm pretty
As far
sure,
as I know, yeah. And that's debilitating. I understand it,
if you don't take care of it, yeah.
Yeah. Like I remember I was listening to something and one guy, like his doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with him. And he thought he had AIDS.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, apparently like whenever they go in, if they're not looking for it, they're baffled. They have no fucking clue what it could be. And one of the only places you can get it checked out, your blood has to be like priority shipped to Florida. It's like one of the only places they'll do the blood work properly, and even then they have to do it twice because it's so strange, so hard to catch. But yeah, dude, that sucks for him.
Right.
That's tough stuff, man.
That's Selena's song coming back to get him, I guess, right?
Oh, right. There you go. Oh my God, he's been in a lot though lately. I think at least like guest.
Yeah,
Guest
he has
appearing.
been. Yeah, because
I
that's one of I can't remember what song it is. It's one of my kids' favorite songs though. They
Yeah.
come on the radio. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been forced to listen to the radio, man. My fucking car. Every time I want to hook up my phone to it, it won't do the Bluetooth properly, and I'm like, This is such a first world problem, but it's so fucking annoying. What's going on, man?
And then I mean, I was in New York for 9/11. I had a front row seat to that. So yeah,
you still have footage.
I do have footage.
That's
no one has ever seen.
That's
well, I can't say that
crazy.
no one has ever seen. I did show it when I went back to I went to Notre Dame, and so I went back to give a talk, just kind of, coming back to talk to students.
They asked you to do that?
Well, yeah, my professor at the time, may he rest in peace. He's dead. He actually he died of ALS. Same thing my mother-in-law did. And it was just one of those things, totally unexpected. But he and I really connected from the very first class I took with him. And he made it an effort to, because he was an alumni, he made it an effort to bring back students and bring back to come and talk to, the up and coming students that were in the design program. And it open-ended, let's just say that. It was all encompassing: industrial designers, graphic designers, product designers,
just design
in general. If you graduated with a design degree at Notre Dame, he asked you to come back, and he brought us back individually, and then he started up this kind of series called the 10 Years Out. So after 10 years, that class came back and talked to the students then.
That's intense.
And so he brought me back I went back for that. But he also had me back and it was one of those things, if you were coming back for a football game and you were going to be there on, during that week, it's, come in and talk to the students, let them know about the real world and how you're prepared,
they are.
how prepared you were or how unprepared you were, what you've been learning, all those kind of things. And so It was literally the first time that they were allowing air travel after 9/11. And I went back and actually showed the tape there to those students because they asked about it.
Oh, I thought you meant like you walked in, check this tape out.
No. And then a couple other people have seen it, but it's all, mini disc. And in order to play it right now, like I'd have to hook up the camcorder, put the disc in.
Yeah. Does your camcorder have RCA outs?
It does.
Dude, well, all you need is an RCA to HDMI, and then there you go.
So
that's all you need.
That's right. I can connect it to the computer and just record that.
You can connect it to the Ninja.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because it has an HDMI in.
All right.
Yeah, so you can get it like straight up easy. So you just need an adapter.
That's all.
We got to get that. We got to make that a Santos Saturday show
exclusive.
I don't know if I want to make that an exclusive. That footage must be horrifying.
It is, because I've got jumpers. There's jumpers on it.
That's scary shit.
I came in just after the second. It must have been just after the second plane hit that I started. I can't say started recording, but that I went to this window where we were, where our office overlooked.
Okay.
One lady had. It was a super small office because there was just 4 of us and our administrative assistant.
Was this this graphic design thing?
Well, I was a art director for a sports magazine.
Oh shit!
Again, my professor worked with the guy who was the editor, and they just started it as a small team. It was just the 3 of us. So I oversaw a whole book, actually multiple books on my own, like right out of college. That's the first thing. And what made it the worst was, I'd gained so much experience, firsthand experience doing that when it shut down, literally the Friday before Christmas, I got walking papers. I had bought a ticket to go home for Florida for 2 days. And if I'd have known it wasn't,
Yeah.
But
Merry Christmas. Dude.
I'd gotten so much experience there that it made it hard to apply when I applied because I was unemployed for at least 6-7 months.
Holy shit.
Which is a whole nother story, yeah. I couldn't get a job in some places because they're like, you've got too much experience. And yet,
Jesus.
Right? You've got this
means that
position
we're going to pay
boring.
less than probably what you want.
This position would be boring considering what you've just done. And then the ones that I didn't have, that I had enough experience for, I didn't have enough time in. Like they were like, you need to have 3 or 4 years worth of.
So you were right in there.
I was in that
middle.
gray zone, that one area where it's just like, all right, well, I've got too much experience to do an entry level thing, but I don't have anything for a middle or senior because they want somebody who's got 3 or 4 or 5 years. And I'd done it for 8 months, 9 months, but I'd published 5 magazines in those 8 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And I'm the only designer on the art director, designer, everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we had a small office, and the office overlooked downtown area and the Twin Towers. And I happened to have my camcorder there with me because this was in the day before video. You know, if you take your phone and you just want to set up a slideshow and then project it kind of thing.
Yeah.
So my friend, my coworker had all these photos. He was getting married, and he wanted to do kind of a slideshow deal with all these pictures at their rehearsal dinner. And you know, the only way I'm thinking of doing this is bring the pictures in. We'll set everything up. We'll just, you know, I'll record for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Record for 2 seconds, just and do this for you. So I did that for him, and I happened to have my camcorder still at the office because I was gonna go to the U.S. Open, the tennis tournament, and then take my camera and record and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was prepared for all that, and then this happened, and I happened to have it there, and I just
Fuck it.
instinctually just went and grabbed it and set it up and just hit the button and started recording.
Dude.
And it was right after that second plane had come in because my boss had come in and said, a plane has flown into the World Trade Center. And I'm thinking, you're fucking kidding me. What are you talking about? Go to the window, and he not only is the one building on fire, but the other, and I'm like, both of them are on fire, and like there's paper everywhere. And when you go back and watch, it's like that's obviously what had just happened. The second one.
Shit, dude. Because I know for a while, or for right before the second one hit, it was like, what a crazy accident.
Right.
What the hell happened?
And of course, where we were, I didn't have any access to any of that information. Nobody's watching on TV. Me and my boss are watching it live, and we
just right there.
Yeah, just right there. We go up to the roof of our building. As we're going up, I'm like, damn, and right at the time, I didn't think if it was a plane or anything. I'm like, but whoever thought about doing that, there's like, the first thing running through my mind is, there's no way that the fire department's going to be able to contain this. The only way that they're going to be able to contain it is from keeping it going down. But this thing is just going to continue to burn up and up.
Yeah.
Go up and up and up.
Shit.
And those were the thoughts coming right out of my mind initially. And you never thought it was going to come down. Never. And dude, I'm not kidding you. When I say this, first tape runs out. I go in and put it in second tape, and not even 30 seconds into that tape, you hear the rumble, and the tower just comes down. The first tower comes down.
You see it?
Yeah, I watched it.
You have it on the tape?
I have it on the tape. I tell my boss, and so of course we're all off camera. I'm like, I yell at my boss, it's like, the tower just fell down. And he's like, what? I'm like, the fucking tower just collapsed.
Jesus.
And you hear him just mumble, or, you know, he's like, oh my God.
Oh man.
And then you hear our assistant, she was there.
Yeah.
And she starts to get a little hysterical. She starts to break down.
Sure.
And then, you know, it's almost 45 minutes before the next one comes down. We're in our building. We don't know what the hell to do.
Did you see anything weird? Because I know that's one thing that people like to look out for. Because there's very few, I want to say there's very little footage or anything of them going down. Or something like that. I don't know.
You know, if you're thinking, like, I know that some people say like it was an implosion,
yeah,
like, that kind of thing. I didn't see anything like that.
You didn't hear anything.
You hear, but what I think you hear is the building buckling. Like it just hits that point. It just hits that point where it's no longer, it's compromised to the point that it's not going to stand up anymore, and it's just that initial, that first little break in the levee, that first crack, and then it just, you just hear it all. You just watch it fall out of the frame.
What's wild about that whole thing to me, dude, is this past year, Rogue Rocket is like this YouTube channel, did a video, an hour thing about it, and I never knew, at least maybe not as much, but so many people got cancer from that stuff.
Oh yeah,
It's insane.
That's what Jon Stewart's been fighting for.
Yeah,
This entire time.
they got that bill done and passed, but I never knew the extent of all of that. That's insane to me, dude. Yeah, because even people that were close enough, it's just it's crazy stuff. They had the firefighters there, and they were talking about everything they went through and like how much work they had to even do after everything went down just to get coverage.
Yeah,
I'm like,
right?
What are we doing?
Right, those people should have been taken care of. Like no questions asked.
Never,
no question asked.
Yeah, but that was not the case.
No,
I guess when there's money involved, man, you never want to let it go.
Well, when you're profiting off people's health or lack thereof, that in and of itself is just wrong.
Yeah.
Absolutely wrong.
Yeah, you think so?
I totally believe that.
Are you a Bernie supporter? Like, do you think that it should be free? Healthcare
in itself.
Yeah.
It's never gonna be free. Like it's my take on that is I think it's definitely not it's a right, not a privilege.
You think
everyone should have health insurance?
Everyone.
Because my thing is, if anyone's going to benefit from my health, that person should be me. The first person should benefit from it is me.
You would
right?
hope, yeah.
You would hope, not whether But I totally feel like that is something that if you're healthy, if you're feeling healthy, you're feeling good, you'll be able to do things that ultimately should propel you to supporting yourself, supporting your family, independently.
Sure.
And studies are going to show you people live longer if they're healthy and happy and but
I mean, I'm with you. I agree. It's weird because I don't hear a lot of people talking about different kinds of approaches. Mm-hmm. That's why I like Andrew Yang. He's my guy. Yeah. But in thinking about it, is maybe it's a little bit of that, but more so that like all the other candidates, Bernie included, isn't really solving any real issues, in my opinion. We talked about Elon Musk before, right? I think it should be, if it were the case of it being free, I think the reason why it was free was because of, to your point, the only person that should benefit, or the only people that should benefit, is the people who are needing it. Mm-hmm. And if that's the case, like I was writing some kind of short story or whatever, and it was very futuristic. And in my mind, it was like there was an Elon Musk character who basically privatized all of healthcare, but automated it.
Oh.
Everything. So there were like 1 million of these centers in all parts of the country, from like super, impoverished areas, crime-ridden, almost like a video game. Like if you can think about you in a post-apocalyptic world, you always have like these little stations you can go in and get healed.
Yeah.
Well, just think about that, but just a private company owning these stations and making them so they're self-sufficient. They make their own energy, they expend their own energy, they clean everything themselves, they produce and manufacture everything needed there. So the only thing that connects them is just information.
Okay.
So you could go to anyone and find, they'll have your records, they'll have everything that's ever been done.
Yeah.
And everything is done free because there's no need for any outside vendor costs or anything like that.
That makes me think of, what's her name? Oh my goodness, I wish I could remember. But her, and what's the company? It sounds like Morpheus, but it's not Morpheus.
Oh, I know what you mean.
You know what I'm talking about?
She had like the thing where you could send in your blood.
Yes.
Or some shit. It was a scam.
Oh, it's Theranos.
Yeah.
Because that's what I can't remember. But yes, that's
what it reminds you of?
That as soon as you said that, I'm like, that kind of made me think of that, because her whole thing was creating these systems that were at least, that anyone who wanted to get their blood checked or whatnot, they could go and do this. And and all you needed was one prick of blood. That's all you needed, right?
Yeah, and you can get everything.
And you get everything.
Yeah, from like what your kids would have or something. Like it was like this
It
impossible.
could tell you if you had Lyme disease,
Oh
right?
my word! Yeah, I mean, I like the idea. I think technology should be how we fix a lot of those issues. I mean, if we're automating everything away, I'm more than happy with healthcare being the first thing to go, like at least from a human standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that doctors aren't involved. I'd be down for practices to still be around. But at the same time, I think I would trust something that has had a million times more practice and a million times more theory, like systems in my mind would be way more.
I guess
No human error.
there's no human error, but I wonder though if it takes that whole clinical approach to it. Then
How do you mean?
I mean, I've seen it in so many different movies where it's like, because they don't have feelings about that. Here's probabilities tells you. I'll put it this way: in a kid movie, Home.
I love Home.
Right?
It's so good.
And he says, we're good at math, but you humans are,
Right. Emotional.
Emotional.
Yeah.
And he's like, probability says we should run away, so we're going to run away.
Right. Right.
But yet there's, that 25, that 20% chance that you could be wrong.
Sure.
So
sure.
if that computer is going to make that decision for you, or make that call, that's where it gets scary for me.
You think so? I don't know. I mean, I can see that worry for sure. And maybe that would be in itself like a decade or 2 decades worth of just research to get that approach right. Because I agree. Like in my mind, the only way it's going to work is that if anyone that goes for help, so if anyone that goes, like let's say we're going to the doctor, right?
Yep.
I'm getting checked for something. I'm there because I'm worried about something,
Right?
Yeah. And what are a lot of people's complaints about their doctors? They feel like they're not being listened to.
Correct.
So what if this thing was just indistinguishable? Like what if it looks like there's people there, but they're not really people? Or what if it's like this one entity that's like this very soothing voice,
like Samsung's new AI.
Yeah. Right. What if it's an AI that like its one thing is to be sincere, listen, and make it so number one priority is your health and happiness. Like, what if that were like just the foundation and it wasn't more of a thing just to keep you alive or just to,
We're just making that kind of statistical.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah. Cause I think fuck, your Alexa does that kind of stuff,
Sure. Yeah. Right. When Fitbit and all that stuff.
Yeah. Or like what was Apple's Siri?
Siri.
Yeah, man. I mean, they're making it so like it's so close to human that it doesn't bother you. Same with like phone, like telemarketers or whenever you call an automated phone system, they're making it sound human.
Oh yeah, right. Very true.
And they say in the next couple of years that it's going to be so indistinguishable, you're not even going to want to try to talk to a real person. You're going to be able to make it so it's like all these things that you need, it's going to know how to respond. Like, I want to stop my payment from going through. It's like, okay, it's done.
It's done.
Yeah.
That'll be nice. That would be nice. Because right now, the options that they give you on most of those things, like, just give me the damn operator.
0, 0, 0.
Sorry, but that's not a proper selection, and then you got to wait. You have to wait like through 5 different menus before you can hit 0 to get to the operator.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's craziness.
But you know what? Now, though, it's like they don't even want you to touch the things. They want you to just speak to it like it is a person.
Sure.
Like,
I'd be fine with it if it wasn't like trying to do. I don't know.
If that's the case, then when you let me speak to an operator, sorry, we can't do that. Right?
I am the operator.
But the other thing to that too is like, do you really want a computer telling you that you're about to die, or do you want a person telling you that you're about to die?
What if you don't know the difference, man? Or what if, honestly, if that were to go down, the technology in my mind would be as such where you could just probably download your consciousness, your brain, into a fucking computer anyway. So it'd be like, would you like to transition?
Elon Musk is setting that up for you.
I'm down with it. But I think like it would be, that's a lot of things with like a lot of stories or shows or movies where like I think in True Blood, You ever watch that show?
Yep.
Well, yeah, like there's a moment where that vampire, the oldest one, just decides to die because they're just like, it's 2,000 years. I'm done.
Right.
Maybe that would be the same. You know, like if you could do it, let's say you live to be 120. That's pretty fucking good. But now you're like, all right, let's transition into what if that was the norm where everyone just went into the digital space after they die? And like, would there be like an existential crisis? I'd imagine that there'd be people be like, you know, we have to get out of here. We got to delete ourselves, man. We want to see what happens next.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, there's a story.
That's a story for you. Dude, there's your next short film right there.
Yes. Oh man. It's tough.
I'll feel free. I'll definitely chime in
will,
on that one.
Will you be a creative director?
Yeah. Totally.
Full circle, man. Oh Lord. Well, I mean, how do you feel about doing ad work? Cuz
I'm totally open to it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, so you like doing advertisements. We talked about like
Well,
them listening to us and showing us ads. Does like doing advertisements as a creative director, is that like something that, does that rub you the wrong way at all or anything? Because
it does. It does.
Yeah?
'Cause there's stuff that I won't work on. Like,
Is that right?
yeah. I would definitely let it be known that I don't feel comfortable doing, even if I had to do it. Like, and there are certain things where I will, like, I would most definitely draw the line on, not to speak of the company that I work for, but we did do some work for a Republican candidate for president a couple years back.
Is that? I didn't
We
know
did.
that.
We did.
I didn't know that.
And I let it be known at that time that it was, I'll do it, but I don't feel comfortable do it because I didn't see eye to eye with this person.
With like the message and everything.
With his.
That's interesting.
So granted, it was his ID that we worked on.
Sure.
But like if it, I do know that I let my head at the time like know that I wouldn't be comfortable seeing this any further because I don't see eye to eye with this person's views. I cannot do it with a conscience like that.
Where the higher ups like, oh, Gino, you idealist.
No. I mean, he totally respected it, but you know, luckily, I won't say luckily, but you know, it didn't go any further than what we ultimately did for them, which was fine.
Which is just like an ad.
Yeah.
I gotcha. I can dig
an
it.
ad
Man.
and a concept for his look and feel, you know. But it, you know, once it got to a certain point, I'm like, I can't do this. I don't see eye to eye with this person, and it's one thing to do. I guess that's the thing. It's one thing to do an ad for somebody, but even at the same time, I've been lucky enough to work in a place where I haven't had many issues like that. I do know that there are other people that, you know, if you work at a larger agency, that's a large possibility.
Oh, sure.
But it's one of those things. You got to be confident enough in your beliefs and be willing. You know what? This is a thing that I'm worth taking a stand over, and if I lose my job because of it, I can accept that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to compromise who I am, you know, for the sake of a dollar bill or a job in a sense where it really compromises some moral belief of mine.
I'm with you completely, all the way. It's tough though. It's tough because for me, it's like, what's that hill to die on, you know? And I find myself sometimes wishing that hill comes up. I'm like, oh, please, just give me an excuse. I think that's normal. It's normal to feel like that, I feel.
But I mean, you know, being in the creative world, you know, just like me and you, we do have to pick some of those battles.
Sure.
I mean, I know for a fact, like in New York, there was this one idea I totally believed in. Like not that it didn't get picked. It was one of those things where, you know, it was a budgetary kind of thing. It was messaging. It was all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, look, no, you guys. And I went to the art director. She's like, I totally hear what you're saying. If you feel that strongly about it, go to head of marketing. And I went to head of marketing and I pled my case. I'm like, look, I really feel strongly about this design,
Hmm.
because they decided to cancel can the whole thing. They weren't even gonna do it. I'm like, look,
Oh,
I
shit.
really think you guys should do this.
Okay.
There's at the time, this place I was working at, there are these high end fitness clubs, and it's like you really, as much, especially who this particular piece was going out to.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, look, man, you want these people to feel special. You want them to, reciprocate the amount of money that they're spending to come to your fitness club.
Mm-hmm.
Because the entry level was $135 a month.
So it was like one of those bigger.
Oh, let's just say it was
so
a very super posh fitness
Jesus,
club.
fuck. That's like a status thing at that point.
It was.
I
No,
imagine.
there's a good part of it was. And
I
crazy
belong
thing,
to this. Yeah.
crazy thing, I met Aaron Eckhart.
No way. Full fucking circle, man.
Right? So but yeah, he was working out in the gym
Jesus.
where our headquarters was, and he, because we'd go out into the gym either on our lunch break because we could go and work out, or you need to go to the bathroom. We'd go to the ones in the gym.
Yeah.
But yeah, I happened to go out there, and there he was running on the treadmill.
Fucking Two-Face.
So,
Jeez Louise.
but to that point though, it's just like there are battles that you're willing to fight, and I mean, I've even had it in my current position or current place where I'm like, I really feel strongly about this, guys. I don't think we should deviate from it, and
Sure.
let's let's follow. Let's just see it through. Let's present it to the client, see what they say.
Sure.
So,
That's interesting. Yeah, man. I don't know. I feel like I'm pretty easy. Pretty easy for the most part. And there's never been, I don't remember being where I am now, like something I'm like, I just can't, dude. I can't. You know what I mean? Never. But I always wonder what that line would be. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, it's just an ideological difference that gets to me. I mean, how do you feel about this? So I've always been against hourly work, at least looking at through hourly, because it reminds me of an analogy one of my old professors told me, where, his approach to teaching was a more selective, focused with each individual.
Yeah.
Because not everyone's going to be able to learn the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone's going to be able to be a visual learner, an audible, or a hands-on.
Right.
And even then, not everyone's going to be so susceptible to the learning. So whenever they go and perform, or whatever it is they need to do, the project or, whatever it may be, not everyone should be gauged in the same kind of standard, because it's doing a disservice to people that both are excelling and not doing so well.
Yeah.
So I always liked that. That to me was a logical, fair assessment of people's abilities.
Mm-hmm.
But what I don't like is that coming from that kind of mindset, going into freelance is one thing, because if you're doing freelance, you're basically gauging yourself for what you're worth.
Right.
That's fair. But whenever you go into a full-time kind of position, or most people are, I think the whole hourly thing is unfair. Just because of, like, some people's hours are worth way more than other people's hours, but they're all counted the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
let's counted the same in what sense? Because how are you being? Let's not use the word pay.
Okay.
Because, I mean, isn't that kind of determining what your value is worth versus?
You would think, but everyone's still putting in the same amount. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I don't know. I suppose you may be right, but I just feel that, I don't know.
Because, I mean, you could look at the billing thing. You look at the billing thing, but even look at when you go to a salon, right? You've got the $25 chair.
Oh, sure.
Or you've got the $75 chair.
Sure.
Right?
Sure. I get that. But again, I see that working better in a freelance kind of way versus a company.
Okay, so to put it in company standpoint, it's like...
Because it's not like, you're telling a client, I mean, I suppose you would if you agree like on a project and the pitch and everything like that, but I don't know.
Because a lot of that, all right, so if you're looking at a fixed price of what they're paying you to do, perform the job, right?
Sure.
Versus, well, even, I mean, that's one thing, but look at it in the sense of like your company has to make money, right?
Sure.
To pay you outside of the additional money that they hope to make on the project.
Sure.
Like, so then you're going to build and say you who has been doing your job for, let's just say 5 years, right? Versus a person who may work underneath you that has only been doing it for 1 year.
Okay.
Do you think you're necessarily, in that particular sense, that your time isn't more valuable than the person who's only, because you can bring so much more to the table potentially?
Yeah. I think you're right. I think my issue is with the amount.
With the amount, right?
It's the 40-hour work week.
Right?
I hate it.
I mean, if there is, and maybe it's because it's broken down in 40 hours in a week. What if you could put your 40 hours in the first 3 days, right? And then be done?
I think my biggest issue is like, well, because I mean, even though like there's company, like, okay, so there's a company and they got employees, right? And then whenever they pitch a client, this amount of hours, this amount of work, this is, they're pitching under the assumption that there's like the hours are coming. I feel like they're always coming from like a freelance perspective, but then they have employees that are doled out salary, and I think you're right. And I'm with you. If you can get the project done to a standard that either is consistent or you excel, I think it would be better for me if it was just more flexible. Like if there wasn't on my end, since I'm just salary. It doesn't matter if I'm spending 120 hours or 30 hours. If it gets done, and to that point, you being a senior level employee, why would it matter? You know what I mean? Like they're still billing the client. They're still getting their, what they're getting paid. But at the same time, at you as an employee, it's more flexible because if the project gets done, it gets done.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh, I know what you mean.
I think that's my issue.
Gotcha.
I think that's my biggest problem. Gino. Yeah. I don't know. I see more companies taking that kind of approach with their employees, and I find it, pretty enticing. But just it's not a norm.
It's not.
It's not a norm at all. It's still this 40-hour work week.
Well, of course, it's probably more accessible to those companies that have the higher, that already have a high bottom line.
Sure.
Because then it's like they can feel free to experiment with employees or just,
like schedules
hopefully get the most out of them. If we know you're going to be more productive at home, well, fuck it, work from home.
God damn.
Right?
It. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. But then I guess
productivity. Yeah. There you go.
In that sense, but at the same time, and you got to think with the way that the world's being more connected, that it's one of those things where you can work in a collaborative environment in 5 or 6 different places. Because I mean, that's the one biggest deal with in the creative field, especially when you're in a collaborative situation where you're depending on multiple people to get a particular project done because of the facet, or that's what's required of it, that being able to communicate and connect in a timely manner versus, all right, so I know you're working on something at home, but yet it may be another, let's just say 8 or 12 hours before I actually get to see it and weigh in.
Yeah.
So that's until I think they can kind of clean up that part, because there's always going to be, you've given out directions as much as you think you've dotted every I or crossed every T as you're about to give them out the final instructions of what you ultimately what your idea is.
Sure.
I mean, people are still gonna read into those things, and even potentially think of something you didn't think of, and you're like, shit.
Oh, I
You're
love
right,
that.
I didn't think about that.
No, sure. I think any good project has to be collaborative. I don't even like big Hollywood pictures or even really good books. I feel authors have other authors read or people the peers.
Yeah.
Go through their work and get different. It's always good to get different ideas.
I totally agree with that. My whole thing was, if you just that 20 to 30 hour work week, if you plugged in all
That'd
40
be
hours,
ideal, yeah.
if you plugged in all 40 hours in the first 3 days versus the rest of the week,
Sure.
it's one of those things. It's like, even though in a collaborative sense, there might be that time when, I know you've already put in your 40 hours, but there's something I need you to touch now after I've viewed it, right? Or after someone else has viewed it to weigh in on it ultimately.
Yeah, it's weird, man. It's weird. I was watching this documentary or whatever, and they were talking about, the 40-hour work week and its origins, and how the guy who put it together had thought over the span of the next 6 or 7 decades, it would naturally even out lower. And I think he projected it to being about 16 to 20 by the time now, like 2000s. And now it's the opposite.
Oh, yeah.
It's the complete opposite. Fucking capitalism. That's not helping things either.
No.
Yeah.
No.
But yeah, that's what he predicted, is that it would be around like that. It would go down.
Awesome.
To that.
What happened there?
I don't know. But I do know, like, Italy and I think France, they have like 6 to 8 weeks of, mandatory paid leave.
Paid leave, yeah.
Yeah. And even then they go in earlier, like 8 or 7:30 or something, and they get out at 3:30 or something like that, where it's definitely shorter. And from I think it's their country's perspective, it's priorities. They value family a bit above, I guess, work hours. Because
I see that as they care about the country, not the country, but they have a more understanding of their people.
Like culturally.
But not even that. It's just they understand. It's, if our citizens are happy, they're enjoying themselves, they're more likely, you think they're not going to commit crimes, they're not going to do other things that would hinder or hurt anybody or hurt the economy or hurt the country itself. And so,
Sure.
if we can keep our people happy, if you can keep people happy, they're not going to complain as much, and they won't see.
Yeah. Productivity. Yeah. I think you're right.
It's almost as there's a respect for, not life isn't the right word, but it's a respect for their employees that here we don't have anymore. Like, cause I know my granddad, and although you worked for a company for 50 years and they paid you at the end, like they.
Oh yeah.
And now
that's a dream.
That's a dream.
Yeah.
Like that ever happened.
No. Oh yeah. I think like from now until 2050 or 2060, I mean, fuck, we'll both be retired in that age. Yeah. By that point, but they were.
I won't be retired, but
I don't ever want to stop working though. I think that's a new thing. Or a new word.
I wouldn't mind not working.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, but even if you weren't doing what you're doing, would you be the one that still want to create stuff?
I'd still want. Oh yeah, I'd still be doing things.
That's working.
I'd still be doing things.
Sure.
I wouldn't. Then again, you're right. It's still working technically. I wouldn't be working to make money.
Sure.
To say that much,
Sure.
or to afford whatever I need to live.
Sure.
And there's a lot of days when it's just like.
I
know
do this.
New York, man, it was just like, I got to do this if I want to be able to eat, or if I want to be, because I mean,
I like an apartment.
when I was unemployed, dude, I was like, literally there's a set of like 4 or 5 months where I was just like, all right, these are the bills I have today. I toss them up into the air, and which ones landed up, those were the ones that got paid that month.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. It's tough on everyone, man.
So,
I mean, I hear that's pretty common, because it's like there's a thing where like 45 or 50% of Americans can't afford and like a $500 unexpected bill.
Yeah.
Fuck. That's half the people.
Right.
They can't afford an emergency. That sucks.
Right.
And then from an economical perspective, apparently we're doing okay.
Yeah.
What's
we're in
that
a
about?
boom. We're in the lowest jobs, lowest jobs rating or percentage ever.
Yeah, but
Right.
then our life expectancy has doing like every year for the past 4 years has
Right.
gone down.
Right.
What's that about?
Fast food.
Unhappiness.
Yeah.
Unhappiness, dude. Anxiety. I don't think I've ever been so anxious in my life. Well, now it's not so bad
Yeah.
at all. But dude, like from, 3.5 years ago up until recently, maybe the past 8 months,
Yeah.
horrible. I don't think I've ever, aside from being a kid and like when I was a kid, I had like this separation anxiety thing. That's what they ended up calling it, and it was like 9 years old.
Got it.
For like 6 months, and then it went away. It just vanished as quickly as it came,
Huh.
and it was intense. I caused a lot of problems for my parents. I feel so bad, but then I never really had an issue with any of that until about 3.5 years ago, and it's been a challenge to just try to cultivate a way around it. Now it's not anything crazy because like, dude, I would like smoke,
Yeah.
and it wouldn't be fun anymore. It would be like something that almost made me apprehensive, and
Even more anxious.
it's crazy.
Right.
Yeah, dude. Like, like something's the matter. That's one thing that isn't that like a common thread with anxiety. It's like something is inherently wrong. And now that, thank goodness I'm out of it now, at least for the most part, with just a change of perspective and what I think diet and all that plays a role. And people,
Right.
looking back and I'm like, what the hell was I so worried about, man? It's weird, but I see memes about that all the time. Like it's a common thing. I have friends that I never knew had any problem with those kind of things. All of a sudden want to talk about mental health. And I'm like, shit.
Yeah, it's the real thing. I've been dealing with anxiety for, I want to say my entire life.
Yeah.
But oh yeah, like looking back on it now after having been through, you go see the psychiatrist, you go see and being diagnosed with what it was, I can look back at my past and say, we were treating that completely wrong. Cause
growing up.
Yeah. Cause I had these stomach issues pretty much since I was like 7 or 8 easily. Like it's all started like going out to restaurants and trying to eat, and I'd feel like sick to my stomach as soon as we get in. And it basically what it was is I'm having like a social anxiety. Like we'd get out and I'm like,
really?
Yeah.
So
I'd start to get the kind of shakes and everything, and then I'd get like super duper nauseous. So it's like almost like butterflies to an extreme amount. Like,
okay.
And I had no way of controlling it, and like literally would have to go outside and like literally, it's one of my parents and the rest of our family would be inside eating, and I'd be outside with my mom most of the time.
Sure.
And just trying to get better, feel better.
Right.
And then as soon as we left the restaurant, get home,
it's all
I've got it in a doggy bag, I'm eating the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like nothing ever happened.
And
then I always had this I've always had bad sinus issues in the morning, and that helped drive that, and a couple other instances helped really promote this fear of vomiting that I've got, that just
to this day
that like I get, like I shake, I uncontrollably, like that, just the nerves, like up to, and even now occasionally there'd be times where I would literally fall asleep in the bathroom next to the toilet, because that's where I felt the most comfortable and I could control it as much. And you go through these like weird, and I'm sure you go through these crazy weird routines that in your mind are telling you it's okay.
Absolutely.
And this is the way that I've learned to
coping
make
mechanism.
myself deal with it with this coping mechanism, like to the point it's like there was a One time it would be honey lemon halls. Like I'd be a whole month of like, as soon as I start to feel this way, I need a honey lemon halls.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? I need to curl up in a ball, get heat on my stomach, and a honey lemon halls.
There you go. Yeah.
Right.
And then everything is in a
And
way
it takes a
little
while.
bit-
It starts to get better.
Yeah.
You know, that's just the first thing, but you're still dealing with it. And like, you know, you're still dealing with it for like hours upon end until you're like, okay. And it's funny because I have a joke, like my running joke is it's my morning sickness. Like,
Sure.
It's one of those things. It happens typically, like the worst parts of those days were, you know, if I had to wake up super early in the morning, 6 a.m, say,
Yeah.
and then by about 10:30, I'd be fine.
Good.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, man. I mean, I understand because, like, for a while there, just my anxiety, it would always be something internal, and it would always just be a worry. You know, it would always be so debilitating to the point I didn't want to do or think or act on anything else until whatever was worrying me is, you know, either expelled by a change in perspective or a change in new information. And yeah, dude, it's crazy. It's crazy how it comes up. And it's like waves.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
And it's like, it'll be like this huge, unbelievably terrible thing, you know, the worst, end of the world. And it'll subside and things seem okay. And then all of a sudden you feel it come on. It's weird. It's weird.
Yeah. I guess like one of my other coping is I clean. Like I start to clean. Dishes are a huge thing. And so if you see me, like, it's funny because the coworkers, some of them they've picked up on those signs. It's just like, I'll stand up at my desk.
Sure.
And I'll start rearranging and start cleaning and start doing these little things where I won't sit down, and I'm just trying to focus my mind on something else.
Sure.
And that's cleaning, straightening up. That's a big one for me. That helps. That I turn to.
Right.
That,
Getting your
then,
mind off of it.
And now, but now I've tried to incorporate more breathing. Like I'll even go into if I've got the space and whatchamacallit, like I'll actually start to do certain yoga poses.
Oh, okay.
Because a lot of mine tends to lean towards me and my stomach, like
Digestive.
My very first thing is digestive. Like my anxiety, as soon as it kicks in, it goes from that, your stomach doesn't feel well, now you're going to throw up.
Sure.
So that's kind of, and there's no space in between.
Right.
And I've learned that if I do certain yoga poses, one, it helps me breathe, but two, it helps kind of help everything internally.
Sure.
And starts to ease some of that, not only mental issues, but the actual thing that may have sparked the anxiety.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I mean, for the longest time, I tried to find what those triggers were, because I don't know how it is with you, but for me, it's always like one thing, or at least it used to be one thing that kind of it's like almost like you find a thread and you just can't stop pulling.
Yeah.
You know, it's just curiosity, I guess, but that's how it was with me, where it would be like, you know, heartburn, right? I fucking hate heartburn, and you know, like that be one thing, not even feeling it. Just I've gotten to the point where it's like everything's good right now compared to where I was night and fucking day. But you get on these little things, so it's like, oh, I'm not feeling heartburn, but now my throat's a little scratchy. You know, what's with that? That's weird. You know, maybe it's something I'm eating, and then I obsess on what my diet is. You know, and it's not as bad as it was now, but still, some of those things keep creeping back in. Yeah, and I mean, like from a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the worst. In my mind, like those panic attacks. Yeah. Horrible fucking things. I wish to your point, I wish it was something better educated, or I was better educated in, or maybe like, I'm surprised, you know, growing up, kids aren't more, maybe not from a younger age, but like 10 or maybe 12. I mean, you have kids, you know better than me. When do you think people should be talking about their kids about those kind of feelings? Because I feel, especially with social media,
I mean,
way more prevalent now.
Oh yeah, no. Well, I mean, I tried it. Ours,
they're so young.
Closest, yeah, they're the closest they get to. They probably watch a few things on YouTube that they shouldn't. You know, I'm sure they watch. I mean, I've come in. I'm like, who is this you're watching?
Oh yeah.
And then but it was what was next, Daddy, on the on the playlist. And I'm like,
Right.
all right, and like, no, we're not watching that one.
Right.
And, all right,
And
so,
they don't know.
Yeah, they don't know. All right, so case in point, Netflix has this new, and I didn't even know they started watching this one. Like,
Okay.
Netflix has this new show. It's got Sean Astin and Melissa Joan Hart.
A show.
It's a show. I really want to look it up.
Sure.
But it's like this girl, and she's a teenager. She gets adopted by this, or taken in by this family, but yet her dad is in jail, and she steals things from this family.
Okay.
Like, what is it called? It's a Netflix original, because that's how they were watching Netflix when it was on it, and I can't think. And I don't even know really how to search for this. Stealing. You know what? Let me put in Sean Astin.
Yeah. See his filmography, bro.
Yeah, let me just go to IMDb.
IMDb, actor, current. And so they
started watching it. And so they're watching this girl who's living in this house.
Okay.
Totally take advantage of the people who are there. She's stealing their stuff, fencing it, all this kind of stuff. I'm like, yeah, you guys don't need to be watching this.
Is it a kid's show? Or?
I don't know if it was directed at kids or not, but if I'm think about it right, it showed up because I have a channel set up for them that is supposed to be kids.
Just kids, yeah.
Yeah. And so I don't think that they were watching off of my profile, but it's one of those things. It's just like, all right, this is a show for, and it's probably one of those things. Granted, they understood what was going on, and they understood. Like, my kids get sarcasm, they get all
yeah.
So
kids are smart, dude.
It's like, it's stuff that I'm sure that they comprehend and understand. It's just a matter of like, I know I've taught you right and wrong,
right?
And you know that what she's doing is wrong,
right.
But at the same time, it's just like,
there's a gray.
You guys don't need to be watching this right now. You don't.
You don't have to watch this.
Let's
shit.
just watch. There's another show it's funny. Another show where they got hooked on, and I think it's Netflix again, with this this cheerleader who ends up being the head star quarterback, and I can't remember what it's called.
Okay.
But my daughter comes out and he's like, Daddy, I want to play football. I'm like, okay. She's like, Daddy, will you go outside and throw the football with me? I'm like,
aw.
All right, sure, yeah.
Okay.
So, but yeah, it's just. I'm like, what, that I'm fine with. You want to see this? It's
sure.
But yet you got another show on there that's just like
about thievery.
Yeah. For the most part, yeah. And it's just like, yeah, you guys don't really need to watch that.
Huh.
It's funny. It's funny where you come into things like that. Like with them, it's like, if maybe if you're 4 or 5 years older, I'd be like, okay, yeah, sure.
It'd be a different story.
But at the same time, I say that, but at the same time, we took them, we let them watch Jumanji, and some of the words,
the original.
Yeah, some of the words in there aren't the greatest.
Sure. That's PG-13.
It is.
Oh, that's that hardcore.
It is. You know what it is? It is. But at the same time, my kids have. My daughter came to us when she was 6 or 7, and it was like 7, I think. 6. It's like, yeah, Dad, I know what the worst swear word is, and I'm like, you do? She's like, yeah. And I was just like, okay. And she's like, it starts with an F, and I'm like, you do know what that word is. And of course, it's something they heard from a kid at school. So it's just like, at the same time, we don't want them to say those words,
but they exist.
But they exist, and they know they exist, and it's one of those things. It's and you say them. I'm driving in the car, and
you don't even want to know, bro.
they're in the back seat with me, and somebody will pull over or not do something, and I'm like, shit, and I look back, and I'm like, oh wait, I've got my kids back there.
Oh yeah.
Everybody knows. So it's one, they hear it and they know it, and it's just a matter of placing value. It's almost placing value on those words. If you give them like you treat them like they're something that's abnormal when they're not. Oh, it's just a matter of knowing it's inappropriate.
Sure.
It's a word that you don't need to say.
Gotcha.
There's other words that you can say that describe it just as, but it's going to happen. So it's that kind of approach that I know that my wife and I try to take, we don't try to shield them from things that, that they're going to be exposed, even though they're 7 or 8. I mean, they're 8 now. They understand way more than in most cases you even think that they should know, or that you don't want them to know.
Sure.
Right?
They pick up on things.
Totally.
Yeah.
But if you just, it's a matter of the value that you place on things like, again, like language or things that they potentially may see, that you just teach them, it's not appropriate. Can you say it? Yeah, you can say it.
Sure.
But do you think you understand that there are going to be big consequences if you do say it?
Yeah.
Let them decide and choose, but ultimately your goal or your hope is that you've put everything in and you've taught them right from wrong, and they know what's appropriate and not appropriate. And
yeah, that's wild stuff, man. I mean, because I've always like picture myself having kids, wanting kids and all that. Definitely nowhere near now. Maybe like another decade. But I don't know. I like the idea. But what gets me now is I'm in that age, and I don't know if it's always been like this, but I'm at the age now where it kind of bothers me that some of the stuff that I like to do, gaming or watching stuff, like so much is focused on making it family accessible to the point where it kind of destroys the messaging of the product, or it can.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like it's a shame. Like there's like probably an extreme on both ends, but in my mind, there's like a middle, where like if a 13 or 14-year-old, plays Grand Theft Auto 5, it's not the fucking end of the world, man. It's okay.
No, I hear you.
I think.
Yeah.
Because that's when I played it.
Yeah.
That's when I was exposed to so much stuff, like adult.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And I think that's appropriate because then in my mind, at least the way I grew up is I made up my own opinions about what those things meant.
Yeah.
Violence and sex and all that kind of stuff. I can see for younger kids that being a bit more tepid, but I don't know. I feel like, yeah, there's a line there that gets crossed so many times.
See, for us, it's not a matter of whether it's, I can't say that. It's appropriateness versus whether it's there's certain things that you want to tell your kids that aren't right. It's not right to treat people that way. Like
sure,
that
like mean.
That kind of thing, mean,
sure.
Or someone may disrespect you and they may be mean to you, but we try to get across to ours. It's like, but you don't know what's made that person mean.
Sure.
What
they're going
through that so but we teach them is it right for him to treat you mean? No, it's not.
Sure.
But can he? Yes, he can.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's not whether or not it's going to happen to you, because it will happen to you, and it's a matter of how you handle it at that given time.
Yeah.
And I know we place, sometimes I feel like I'm talking to teenagers when they're like 8, or I'm expecting them to act like teenagers when they're 8. And that's not, as much as I want that to be the case, it's not going to be the case.
Wait, what do you mean? You prefer that if they were?
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, it's like, here's a time when I know I've taught you to behave this way. You should be behaving this way, and yet you're totally not.
Right.
It's like,
I see. Okay.
We hear so many things about the way that they behave in certain company or at school or whatnot, and then you get home and it's
completely different.
It's the whole Facebook memes. It's like, here's the perfect family on
Facebook.
Oh,
right.
And then here how it is,
Yeah.
Here's how it is in real life.
Yeah. Oh, we are like that, I think.
Oh, we all totally are.
Yeah.
But it's just
sometimes even unconsciously. Yeah. I feel.
Because you know what? It's because you've gotten into that pattern or that rhythm that it's just, there it goes. It's normal now.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's one thing I've started to do is just try to study how I act in front of some people versus others. And I feel like sometimes they're two different people. And that's without me even trying. Like, it's just something that just comes out.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder why that is. Maybe something's wrong with me, Gino.
No. You're
No.
just you, Homero.
Yeah.
You're just you.
And same to you, bro. Same to you. Yeah, we just do. I think everyone has a little bit of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But to your point, sometimes you just gotta let go. It's like I have a bad day at work, and they're like,
Fuck it. Yeah.
I'm gonna hop on Call of Duty and shoot some people. So
Yeah. That's a fair way to.
And it's one of those things. It's like, would you rather have people go and do it on video games or go and do it in real life?
Yeah. Oh my word. That's a whole thing.
Right.
In
That's
itself,
a whole. Yeah.
Man.
It's
Jeez
a whole
Louise.
nother Santos Saturday for that one.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. I think we'll end it on a positive. We can all act in certain ways. It's okay. But yeah, lately it's been more of whatever happens, happens. That's a good way for me just to be like, it's all good. Let it go. Because I used to hold on to things so close, like little stupid, retarded things that would just get to me. And now I'm like, I wasted so much time and stress over nothing, in comparison to everything else or life itself.
Right.
Now I just starting to let things go, man.
See, after living in New York, and I will say this, if you can live in New York, you can live anywhere in the world. I've traveled to, I've been to Japan. I've been all through Europe. I haven't made it to South America. That's like the one area that I really do want to go. But of all the major I've been to, let's just say some of the biggest cities in the world: Tokyo, Paris, London, Amsterdam, Berlin, Prague, every major metropolitan area for the most part, in Europe, and and of course Tokyo. Tokyo is probably one of the closest places after living in New York that can be comparable.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can live in New York, you can live anywhere in the world. And it was one of those things. I've learned that there are a lot of things in this world that I cannot control.
Oh goodness.
And when you spend all that time worrying about what you cannot control, that it's just like it'll
eat you, dude.
Totally. So it's just, I've come, at this point in my life, I've come to realize, yes, there are a ton of things that I cannot control. I'm okay with that.
Totally
because
cool.
That's the way that it is. And you just have to move. And to your point, you move on. I'm not going to waste any more time worried about that.
Yeah.
And move on to.
Absolutely.
It still doesn't mean that things aren't going to be stressful and you're not going to have anxiety, but there are a lot of things that you can move past that worried you or bothered you.
Well, I mean, I'm with you, because in that case, you are in control of what it is that bothers you.
Yeah.
And that is a great step to be in, because then, you're able to be like, well, this is where I want to focus the stress. Yeah, I think that's a lot more healthy, man.
Totally right.
Positive. And that's a great way to end the show. That's so good. Thanks for coming by, man.
Thanks for having me.
You know how long we went for?
I don't know, 2 hours maybe.
Almost. 140. 140, so that's not too bad, at least by my stopper, given a minute or two. Yeah, man.
We didn't even dive into like half the stuff.
No.
I thought we would be talking about like a lot more movies. I watched Joker.
What'd you think of that?
I liked it. You know what, though? I don't know if it was like the halfway through or the third. Actually, you know what? It was after he read the papers. Read his mother's file from Arkham. When he was in the stairwell.
Shit. When he realized what was going down.
Realized what was really going on. And then he went to, and then, spoiler alert, right?
Too late. Yeah. Sorry.
Well, that's that part, but I won't spoil. Then
go for it.
Right,
Spoiler alert, it's all good. I'm with you. We both watched it.
So then he, after I saw him, the part where he kills his mom.
Yeah.
Like I knew he was going to kill De Niro.
You think so?
Oh, I totally knew it.
Yeah. I mean, I can see that foreshadowing.
Like, so because I mean, they kept showing him shoot himself,
Sure.
gonna shoot himself,
Sure.
and then of course they look at his line, with the line where he's like, "I hope my life is more valuable after I've died than
Sure.
lived." Right.
Sure. In
And
his
was,
journal.
In his journal.
Right.
But you knew, it's like you knew as soon as he got that phone call to come on, it's like, he's not. To myself, I'm like, he's not killing himself. He's gonna freaking shoot De Niro. He's gonna make a statement right there on the thing.
Okay, so that's another thing too that I loved about the movie is that, was he making a statement, or is it just us taking the action, making it a statement as ourselves as a culture? Because that was a big part of the film.
Totally. All right. So are you talking about the first action when he shot the three guys, or when he?
I'm meaning De Niro.
De Niro.
Do you think that was a statement?
That's a good question.
Because I mean, up until that point, I think even in that interview, he was saying, "I didn't do it for anyone.
Yeah.
I was like, he just did it. He didn't go into self-defense as he should have or anything like that." But yeah, like I thought he was.
You know what? I think I will be in that camp that thinks that he did it as a statement.
Sure, that's fair.
Totally.
I can dig it. Okay.
Although, what got me though, because I'm thinking about other Batmans that if Tim Burton's, where the Joker is actually the person who killed Bruce Wayne's parents, right?
Sure.
And then they cut to that scene, and I'm like, all right, so then Joker didn't really kill him, or is this somebody's other understanding of what happened that evening? You see what I'm saying?
No, I dig it. Yeah, I mean, I'll go ahead and be upfront. I love the movie. Mm-hmm. I thought it was, to me, I'm weird because I like to think of my favorite movies being of a universe. Mm-hmm. So I love Nolan's trilogy. Yeah. And I love this movie. And I don't think in anyone's mind, especially, Todd, I can't remember his last name, but the guy that directed this one, the new one. I don't think, he wanted to have any kind of attachment in, universe to Nolan. I say that, but if you watch the movie,
I was about to say,
there is so much from a visual, from a story perspective that parallels that, like The Dark Knight.
Yeah,
easily.
Totally. And that's my thing. Like, as soon as you say that, I was like, this is dark, and it lends itself exactly to Nolan's Gotham universe.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, but even knowing that, I don't think he's Heath Ledger's Joker, but I do see that universe where Joaquin Phoenix Joker was there, and through that, Heath Ledger's Joker evolves from that whole movie. I can totally see that.
I can see that. Totally.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah?
On that one. Yeah, because I feel like from a visual standpoint and just the way that it was portrayed, just that whole interpersonal struggle was right in line with Nolan's.
Absolutely.
Like, those two totally could have coexisted at the same exact time.
Yeah. Well, he just won a Golden Globe. My boy Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, here's to the Oscar, man. He deserves it. I hope he gets it. But then again, I haven't watched.
Dude, I think my favorite part in that movie was when he had his moment with the short person, with the little guy.
Oh, yes. Agreed.
I think that's the best best in the whole.
I'm with you.
In the whole movie was that moment right there where
Sure.
he goes to the door to open it, he can't.
Yeah.
Because he's got, and then he walks over and they have that exchange. Like I went back and repeated it because of course he says it so softly, and I think he said the guy's name is like, "You're the only one who was always honest with me,"
right?
And then kisses him on the head,
right?
Like I rewind that, I'm like, what did he say? Did he say what I think he said?
Yeah.
And it was just like, and then just the that extra, just lean down, kiss him on the head.
Yeah.
Especially after he gave him the eye as he was getting ready to. As he was unlocking it, he gave him that eye. I was just like, no, come on, you can't do it. You're not. And then, of course, he didn't. But
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, man. I thought it was brilliant. I'm excited to see what they go with next. Hopefully, it is because I mean now because of that movie doing so well, I think I like crossed the $1 billion mark. Um, and with the Birds of Prey, it was a PG-13 movie. Now it's a rated R movie.
Oh, okay.
I think they're going to start pushing for DC to be the adult alternative to Marvel, and I'm all for it. I'm all for it. But hopefully, it could have the same level of, writing.
Right. That'll be key.
Yeah.
And that and the people they put on screen to portray it.
Well, I mean, have you heard a lot about the Batman movie?
No, not the new one coming.
Robert Pattinson.
Oh, okay, that's right.
Right, but from what I understand, that's going to be star-studded.
Oh yeah.
They're trying to make it like super dark, like Joker.
Nice.
So I mean, we'll see. But on that note, man, we're at 1:45. I think we're golden. Thank you so much for your time, dude.
Thanks for having me. It's great.
Oh yeah,
it's fun.
Yeah,
there's a lot.
It's chill, right?
Totally. Like I said, you'll have to have me on again. We got
please.
So
yeah. Anytime you want, man, you can come down. We'll do a second one, and hopefully you'll feel better. You said you had a little bit of
the time of the year right now, and not
January.
being as cold as it should be, and
yeah,
my ears and I can feel it in my ear, and then I feel the sign. They kind of just that little bit of drainage.
Yeah. I'm sorry to hear that, man. Well, hope you get better.
Oh yeah.
And thank you so much, everybody who's listening. Okay, so I've been doing this AMSMR thing at the end of every episode, just like thanking everyone. You mind going for it? All you gotta do is whisper.
All I have to do is
just whisper and say thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Yay! Whoa, we'll catch you next week on the Saturday Santos Show. Yay!